Hello everyone, long time no see, I'm Min. Today I'd bring you a case that was so twisted and with an ending that satisfied not many people. We're introduced to a really bad case that took place in Canada, but has attracted global attention. A murderer known variously as the Canadian Psycho, the Butcher of Montreal, and the pawn actor Ogre, committed what the media has called the most heinous murder in Canadian history, which I bet these names should ring a bell for you. We're talking about Luca Magnotta and his victim, Lin Jun, today. So bear in mind that this case is too very heavy in basically every aspect. The torture towards both animals and people and the bloody details of this whole killing thing. And as I read in Chinese, I think I can provide more input about Lin Jun, the victim, and how he was before he was brutally murdered. So I'm gonna dive into this case using info from the documentary Don't Fuck with Cats and other news pieces in both Chinese and English about the Lin Jun case. And let's start from how they found him in pieces. On Tuesday, the 29th of May 2012, at 9:30 in the morning, Mike, the janitor of the apartment building, noticed a grey canvas suitcase in the trash pile in the aisle behind the building as he was cleaning up. He took a closer look, then realized it was locked. Which is way too weird, right? If it was bound to be thrown away, why would anyone bother to put a lock on it? Then he noticed a bunch of maggots crawling out of a hole on top of that suitcase. And Mike smelled something like rotten meat, and he thought it could be a deceased pet. As he figured, there's probably some pet owner who wasn't sure how to handle this situation. However, there's this odd feeling bugging him and almost screamed for him to check on this particular suitcase. You know what? He did. As he told himself it was just to mute that voice of suspicion and to make sure that everything was indeed alright. But the moment he saw what was inside, he called the police. Upon arrival, the police set up a blue tent at the scene and opened the suitcase. There was a male torso inside of that thing, only the torso, right? No head, no limbs, just this middle part. At 6 p.m., 11 a.m. according to some reports on the same day, the Conservative Party headquarters in Ottawa, the capital of Canada, received a package in the mail. The front desk security signed for the package, opened it, and was hit by this foul smell. The inside of the parcel was soaked with blood, and what it contained was a bloody human left foot. Since the Prime Minister at the time was the leader of the Conservative Party, the package was basically sent to the Prime Minister of Canada. Simultaneously, the police intercepted another package sent to the Liberal Party headquarters through the postal system. And within this intercepted parcel, it was a left palm from somebody. The scare didn't just affect the office staff who worked for the parties, right? As the news got out, the whole country went crazy. This whole thing was so surreal, like one of those episodes in Black Mirror regarding the politics. Anyway, you'd expect the police bust their asses to track down who was behind this, right? Who the heck was threatening the safety of the governors? The police quickly got hold of a crucial evidence. A bone-chilling, spine-tingling video. A few days before the incident, around the 25th of May, a video went viral on bestgod.com with the title of One Lunatic, One Ice Pick. It was approximately 11 minutes long, and I will provide a detailed and intense description of this video, which may be too disturbing, as it involves how a human being was brutally attacked and murdered in obnoxious details. If you find such content too distressing. Please skip to the next chapter and we will continue the story without this description. The camera is facing a bed, and you can see straight away that it's a Caucasian guy's bag, and he's sitting on the bed. And there was this naked, immobilized man underneath him. The male on the bottom had his hands tied above of his head. From the positions and gestures, it's expected to be a sex tape. But it didn't take long for what appears to be sex to turn into a thriller. That white guy on top grabbed an ice pick from nowhere, and he started to stab this guy underneath him violently, up to 50 to 60 times consistently. And some reports say that the ice pick was replaced with a sharp knife in some clips during his stabbings. According to the internet, this whole video was basically showing how this white dude was stabbing, splitting, raping, eating the flesh of this victim that was fixed to the bed. Judging from how this victim of his was moving at all towards the end of the video, not even with a nerve twist, the viewers could assume he was dead by the time. This murderer letting a dog to lick the body and then violated the body with an alcohol bottle. At first, many would doubt the authenticity of this videotape. And unfortunately, the police soon came to confirm that the video wasn't fabricated. The police watched this video on the 29th when they received the report of that suitcase, 4 days after it went viral from the 25th. They identified some items in the video, including the posters hanging on the bedroom wall, the bottle of alcohol, and the black and white mixed color dog, all of which appeared in some trash bags at the crime scene. They also discovered the dog from the video, which was still alive when they found it. And let alone the physical evidence, the technical restoration confirmed the authenticity of this video. So who are these two men in the video? There's a scene on the latter part of the video where the perpetrator was twirling and playing with a human head in a bathtub with the water on. And it's shown clearly in the video that under the clothes of the perv was the face of an Asian man in his 30s. On the 30th of May, the day after receiving the suitcase report, the police released the identities of the two individuals. The suspect was 29-year-old Luca Magnotta, and the victim was 33-year-old international student Lin Jun from China. In the interrogation room, Luca seemed like a little scared, all quiet and well-mannered. The prosecutor watching the surveillance described him as looking like a little puppy. No matter how much the cops tried to get him to talk, he just kept quiet, eyes glued to the floor, before finally letting out a, "I just want to keep mum." Then he kind of casually asked for a sweater or blanket, and after getting the sweater, he put it on. He then asked for a cigarette, and the police gave it to him. The cops were like, "Here's a pic of Lin Jun for his fam." They want to know what happened. But Luca just plopped the photo on the table without even glancing at it, saying he was just feeling exhausted. What could they say? The police left the interrogation room to let him rest. Although Luca never revealed details of the crime, the police had gathered enough evidence. On the 25th of May, Lin Jun, who never missed a day of work, was a no-show at the convenience store where he worked. 2 days later, Lin Jun's friends got a bit panicked since they couldn't reach him, right? They went to the store to look for him, but got no luck finding him there. They tried getting in touch with his employer, but no luck there either. So their friends reported him missing to the police. They were like, "Yeah, Lin Jun texted us around 9 p.m. on the 24th of May. But then we didn't hear from him again." When they tried calling him after that, he just never picked up anymore. On the 27th of May, 3 days not seeing him, they visited Lin Jun's apartment. and what they found there concerned them significantly. They found Lin Jun's backpack was untouched, his cat unfed for several days, and his phone charger still plugged in, indicating that he wouldn't have gone on a trip or anything like that, right? According to the police investigation, the last time Lin Jun was seen was in the evening of 24th of May. Surveillance footage from Luca's residence showed him and Lin Jun entering the apartment building at 10:17 p.m. Lin Jun was wearing a yellow t-shirt and a black and white baseball cap, while Luca was wearing a white t-shirt. On the 25th of May at 2:06 a.m., security footage from the entrance gate showed Luca exiting the building alone, dressed in Lin Jun's yellow t-shirt. He returned the building 7 minutes later at 2:13 a.m. with a plastic bag in hand. But he wasn't like going back straight away. He somehow roaming around in the lobby for 9 seconds. He casually stood in front of the mirror, messing with his hair and sneakily checking out his bag. He seemed surprisingly chill. From the footage, the police speculated that the plastic bag he carried could have contained tools to clean up this crime scene. And then, at about half an hour later, at 2:47 in the morning, Luca shows up on the basement surveillance footage. He's still rocking that yellow tee, tossing stuff back and forth into these big trash bins until around 4 or 5 in the morning later. Eventually, he ditched this yellow tee for a white one. And then the cops were like, oh, look, here's where the evidence was dumped in trash bags. The evidence in the video includes an alcohol bottle, a black and white puppy's body, a bloody blue blanket, a crumbled Casablanca movie poster, a blood-stained t-shirt, a pharmacy receipt with ID and adjacent pieces of human body, a shower curtain, and 6 weapons. The weapons include a pair of scissors, a chainsaw, a hammer, 2 bloody knives with bits of skin, and a silver gray screwdriver modified to look like an ice pick. So when the cops raided his room, he pretty much tossed everything already. But they found bloodstains on the mattress, fridge table, and in the bathroom. On the 5th of June, at St. George's School in Vancouver received a package containing a human right food. In the meantime, also in Vancouver, Falls Creek Elementary School received a package containing a human right palm. It was later confirmed that both packages were sent from Montreal under fake names, and the left and right hand and foot, which were separately sent, belonged to Lin Jun. The forensics found sedatives for Lin Jun's blood and leftovers in the bottle. You can get those without a prescription, apparently. This stuff kicks in about 1 to 3 hours after you take it, but too much of it, you might end up in a coma. Therefore, prosecutors like, fingers crossed that Lin Jun wasn't conscious when he was attacked and splitting. The blood package received at the Conservative Party headquarters contained a note stating that the body's 6 parts had been sent to different places and the killer would continue to kill. Similar notes were found in the other 3 packages as well. This is the note that came with the package to the St. George's School, whilst this is the note that went with the parcel to the elementary school, and I'm sure nobody wanted to play this sick game with him. It's been about 3 weeks since they found that suitcase. On the 13th of June, the authority finally put Lin Jun's limbs back together with his torso after checking the DNA against his family's. On the 1st of July, a Toronto law firm received an anonymous fax. The police found Lin Jun's badly decomposed head and body parts in a pond in Angry Park in Montreal based on information from this mysterious fax. So Lin Jun's body got cremated on the 11th of July, and they held this funeral in Montreal on the 26th of July. So what exactly happened to make one person hate another so deeply that he would end his life in such a horrific way? Could it be complicated emotional entanglements or some kind of love-hate relationship beyond ordinary comprehension? What was their relationship anyway? And how the heck did this whole thing go down like this? On the night of the incident, Luca went to pick up Lin Jun at the McDonald's near Snowdown subway station. In the surveillance footage, their interaction seems like that of ordinary friends, polite and courteous, without the playful banter of close friends or any particular intimacy. When entering the apartment building, Lin Jun held the door open for Luca, who was carrying a plastic bag to go in first. As they entered the second door, Lin Jun waited aside, while Luca fetched the keys and opened the door. They walked closely together, but there was no physical contact between them. During the trial, the defense lawyer claimed that the two were in a romantic relationship, and Lin Jun died as a result of accidental death during BDSM play, known as the edge play. So apparently, edge play in BDSM has two interpretations, one involving necrophilia and the other involving the dominant partner getting a thrill from bringing in the submissive partner close to death during sexy times. And the media reported on this very widely. Some reports suggest that the police agree with this explanation, others suggest that based on the phone calls and online chats between the two, the police cannot confirm that they were in a romantic relationship at all. None of Lin Jun's friends knew about any other boyfriends he might have had. 12 days before the incident, Lin Jun apparently called it quits with his ex, but they were still cool and kept in touch through texts. Lin Jun was close with his friends and they all knew that he was gay, so if Lin Jun were indeed dating Luca, there would be no reason for him not to tell them, right? After being arrested, Luca told his mother that he and Lin Jun just hooking up, but that's far from the truth, as Luca posted online an ad a few days before this incident. You can see it here. And when I read the content, it pretty much told me that Luca was looking for a porn star for his adult film. But even if they knew each other before the incident, Lin Jun must have known very little about Luca. Luca could have disguised himself well in real life, which is why they could even have a chance to become friends. And the reason for it, keep watching, I will unveil the whole story for you. As for the claim of Lin Jun playing in BDSM and being accidentally killed, or even being into necrophilia, it sounds more like a lie made up by Luca. Why? If Lin Jun really had a thing for this type of game, he wouldn't want to be dragged with sedatives during this whole process, right? How could one be enjoying it if they were unconscious? So let me introduce you about Lin Jun's story. According to Lin Jun's childhood buddies, he was always smarter and more ambitious than other kids from a young age. His parents were both workers and economically, their family was pretty ordinary. Failing the college entrance exam sucked, so he ended up going to a self-study college for computer science. It was kinda pricey, but oh well. After graduating, Lin Jun worked as a programmer and later landed a job in Beijing, rumored to be that he was working at Microsoft with a monthly salary of 17,000 Chinese yuan, allowing him to buy a flat in the capital through mortgage payments. His romantic life was also quite tumultuous. As he's gay people didn't get it easy in China, so he decided to immigrate and didn't hesitate to start learning French from scratch at the age of 28, and then to restart his life in a foreign country at 31. He studied game programming and film studies in Canada for his bachelor's degree because he couldn't apply for computer-related jobs there due to regulations at the time. Therefore, he was just hustling at the Chinese-owned supermarket and juggling a part-time gig to cover his French class costs. Whether in China or Canada, acquaintances describe him as diligent, responsible, cheerful, and sincerely genuine. But he had a pretty bad habit. Lin Jun is lack of caution. For example, he willingly shared his QQ number and password with someone he just met at a gathering in Beijing. QQ is a popular instant messaging software in China, similar to WhatsApp or Messenger. It's widely used for chatting, making voice and video calls, and sharing files, etc. Just like with any online account, it's important to keep your QQ password private to protect your personal information and prevent unauthorized access to your account, right? So you see why you should keep your password confidential and not share it with anyone else. But Lin Jun wouldn't care. He also had no password for his online storage, which led to many people finding personal photos of him, including scanned copies of his identification documents when he tragically passed away. There was even a recording of him confronting a middleman who had scammed him out of 20,000 Chinese yuan, which he recorded as evidence for potential lawsuit. Overall, Lin Jun had a bit of a conservative side to his personality, tending to abide by the rules. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone through this trouble of immigrating, right? While he was earning a high salary in Beijing, he also ran an online store and took on various part-time jobs to support his family, rather than relying on financial investments to make money. Bear in mind that he earned quite some money on his monthly salary, right? He could be considered a risk-averse individual, not particularly fond of taking risks. He loved working hours, a bit self-absorbed, and valued his life greatly. During the Fukushima nuclear leak incident in Japan, he felt that being in the eastern part of Canada was dangerous, so he brought a lot of salt to keep at home and would purposely pull up the hood of his hoodie when going out. When we look at Lin Jun's case, we can see both the goodness in people and the challenges that LGBTQ+ individuals often face. When Lin Jun was 13, his mother took in an abandoned baby who was mistaken for being born out of wedlock and couldn't get registered. You know, there's one-child policy back in the days in China. Lin Jun insisted on not giving up the baby girl, even threatening to sever ties with his mother if she ever gave up on this baby. Eventually, his mother went through great lengths to get the baby girl registered and adopted. Then they became a close-knit family. Lin Jun was good-looking, popular, and had talent for art. His peers described him as having a deep imagination and sometimes being open about his vulnerabilities. In his sophomore year, he met a senior in middle school and fell deeply in love. But the end of this particular relationship is the typical scenario happened in LGBT+ community here in China. The person he was seeing found a girlfriend in secret and ended things with him once they were successful in their career and ready to get married. There are rumors that Lin Jun himself had a marriage in Wuhan city before moving to Beijing after the divorce. Based on his ex-boyfriend's testimony in court, well, he said that he knew he was married once, which means that this could be true. Given the context of this early 1990s and the emotional turmoil caused by the breakup, along with the pressure with his parents, these factors may have influenced Lin Jun's decision. This photo is from Lin Jun's unprotected cloud storage, capturing a moment where he casually helped a stranger. The man on the right side of the photo is Lin Jun's ex-boyfriend, and he was a manager at a software company. The two just happened to meet in a French class back in 2009 and officially became a couple when they were getting ready to study abroad in 2010. His ex-boyfriend once celebrated the Chinese New Year with Lin Jun and his family, where the elders assumed that they were just good friends. Later, the two flew to Canada together, rented a small apartment, and while Lin Jun's ex-boyfriend studied, he occasionally returned to China for work. In July 2011, both of them obtained Canadian permanent residency simultaneously. Lin Jun's ex-boyfriend testified in court that due to Lin Jun's parents strongly demanding their son to return to China to get married and have children, Lin Jun proposed a breakup. In mid-May 2012, the two officially broke up, but they still maintained a good relationship and stayed in frequent contact. There are also rumors that there was no breakup and Lin Jun cheated while his boyfriend was away in China. In January 2012, Lin Jun's ex-boyfriend shared a psychological test on Weibo, the Chinese Twitter, and added something like, "If you have ever loved me." Well, that looks like there was some underlying tension in their relationship at the time. Facing immense media pressure, Lin Jun's ex-boyfriend took the stand and answered embarrassing cross-examination questions, showing enough courage in this whole thing in court. A journalist referred to Lin Jun's ex-boyfriend as having a cri de cœur, which means cried of the heart in their report, ending by saying this inconspicuous boatman, who is actually a year younger than Lin Jun bodybuilding, always showed respect and courtesy towards his lost love. Lin Jun's Weibo account was active, sharing his fitness journey and social life. Meanwhile, his ex-boyfriend's account was quiet, mostly updated for his parents. Both of them didn't flaunt their relationship but had some subtle interactions. Both Weibo accounts are now closed. Regardless of the truth about the breakup, part of the pain Lin Jun's ex-boyfriend endured stemmed from the discrimination, which could have been avoided. As a supporter of LGBT rights, the hope is that sincere and subtle relationships like theirs can be respected one day in China publicly. Anyway, in his first semester in Canada, Lin Jun stood out in class when asked about life goals. While other students talk about starting a business or making money, Lin Jun simply said to find love. Luca Magnotta was born on the 24th of July 1982 in Scarborough, Canada. He was originally named Eric Clinton Kirk Newman. His 17-year-old father, Donald, married his 16-year-old mother, Anna, shortly before his birth. And Luca has a younger sister and a younger brother. According to reports, when the kids were young, their mother, who had OCD, always made them wash their hands incessantly until their skin turned red and itchy. It's said that Luca was still wearing diapers at the age of 5 or 6 because his mother detested bad vetting. She also once left their pet rabbit outside overnight and it ended up freezing to death. Additionally, she didn't allow the kids to go to school, but instead homeschooled them. Luca didn't start formal schooling until the 6th grade, but going to school wasn't any better than staying at home for him. With learning disabilities in reading and math, he was initially placed in a special education class. With his poor learning, shabby clothes, and shy, introverted personality, Luca was not well liked by his classmates at school. To make matters worse, his love of Barbie dolls and his tendency to want to be a girl made him often ostracized and bullied by his classmates. After his father was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1994, He divorced his wife and the children lived with their grandmother. In 1999, Luca's grandmother brought him a doctor because he was hearing voices talking to himself and feeling scared for no reason. Luca, a high school sophomore, left school and went to a mental health facility. From there, he began his long years of medical treatment. 2 years later, in 2001, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. By 2004, due to severe depression, Luca was told that he would have to take medication for the rest of his life or your life will be a mess. He was 22 years old at the time. Luca's mental health also affected his work. After dropping out of school at 17, the teenager tried out various jobs but never stayed at any for long. He didn't perform well at work, often called in sick, and got fired quickly. In 2003, he began making gay pornographic films, stripping and doing sex work on the side, and modeling for a gay magazine in 2005. In 2004, he met a 21-year-old girl with the mental capacity of an 8 to 12-year-old on the internet. Luca was charged and found guilty of fraud for using someone else's personal information to apply for a credit card and stealing a large amount of money from her. Not only that, but Luca sexually assaulted the girl and videotaped the process. Because the plaintiff dropped the lawsuit, the police ultimately did not charge Luca for the sexual assault. After 2012 crime, the one he killed, Lin Jun, Luca's attorney argued that if he had been charged and sentenced at the time with the girl, it could have potentially prevented his current pattern of increasingly severe behavior. This is because he would have likely been under supervision for life and required to receive ongoing medical treatment and medication. After 2012 crime, the one he killed, Lin Jun, Luca's attorney argued that if he had been charged and sentenced at the time with the girl, it could have potentially prevented his current pattern of increasingly severe behavior. This is because he would have likely been under supervision for life and required to receive ongoing medical treatment and medication. In 2006, Luca made a big choice to start fresh by adopting a new identity. His girlfriend, Barbie, who is transgender, said Luca wants to become a model and actor to seek fame, success, and money. Luca was unhappy with his life and hoped for a better future. Regrettably, fate did not smile upon him. Less than a year later, he was forced to declare bankruptcy, citing his poor health and lack of employment. Additionally, his efforts to break into the television industry in 2007 and 2008 proved fruitless. When the police were investigating Luca, they didn't realize that he was already not just an ordinary, plain, normal individual. To thousands of people, he was infamous. This group of people, including the American data analyst, going by the alias Dana Thompson, American veteran Ryan Boyle, Joseph Panzarella, founder of the animal protection group Rescue Inc., members of several animal protection organizations in the UK and US, as well as Facebook users from around the world. They started paying attention to Luca 18 months before the incident, all because of a video showing animal abuse. In December 2010, a video titled "One Boy, Two Kittens" caught the attention of many netizens. Luca put two kittens into a transparent vacuum bag, sealed it, connected it to a vacuum cleaner, and pressed the switch. The air in the bag was slowly sucked out by the whirling sound of the vacuum cleaner, and the two kittens died of asphyxiation. Luca then removed the stiff kittens, opened the refrigerator, and placed them on an empty shelf where they were displayed in the light. The violence and cold-bloodedness of this video not only brought tears to the eyes of cat lovers, but also angered animal protection groups. Overnight, a Facebook group focused on finding out who the cat killer was gained over 4,000 new members. At its highest point, the group had tens of thousands of members. Luca was not recognized by people online at this point as he was wearing a dark green hoodie with long sleeves in the video. Only part of his face and massive bangs were visible. Prior to the identification of the person responsible for hurting the cats in the video, 2 more videos showing similar acts were quickly reposted. In the video, a hand grabbed a kitten and sank it into a bathtub full of water, with the camera recording the kitten struggling and drowning throughout. In the other, a kitten was placed on a bed, and shortly afterward, a golden-colored python slowly crawled out from under a pillow and devoured the kitten. The netizens believed these 3 video clips were from the same person. After watching the cat-killing video, Joseph called his sister. Her expertise laid in criminal analysis, and she informed Joseph that the perpetrator of this cat abuse was likely to continue harming animals with the potential to escalate to humans, possibly more than one. In other words, this animal abuser was not only a potential murderer, but also potentially a serial killer. They spent a lot of time searching and investigating, even initially mistaking the wrong person. One day, several community netizens received a message from a pseudonymous account. The person you are looking for is named Luca. Diana and Ryan thought the name sounded fake but still Googled it, receiving results completely unexpected. With this name, thousands of web pages, fan sites, and countless photos appeared. In the photos, Luca was seen in major cities and landmarks like St. Petersburg, Paris, and Los Angeles, seemingly a wealthy individual who traveled the world luxuriously every single day. Later, technical analysis revealed these photos were all manipulated. However, they also found a video clip of Luca auditioning for a program in 2007. Listening to his North American accent, combined with other clues such as the cigarette brand and vacuum cleaner model in the photos, they narrowed it down to Canada. Finally, after a long period of investigation, the netizens found Luca's real identity and whereabouts and reported it to the authorities. In 2011, the Toronto police received a report and went to the place Luca was renting, only to be told that he had already moved out. At this point, the police didn't do much else. Even though animal cruelty is illegal in Canada, they might have had limited resources to chase down a rumored online cat killer. During the investigation, there was a Facebook user who claimed the cats were killed by him. This contradicted the clues Diana and Ryan had at the time, but by then it was too late to stop it, even though they both thought it was impossible. The young man mistaken for the cat abuser suffered from online violence and tragically died. Some speculated it was suicide, but the true cause of death remains unknown. Only that he was battling depression before his death. Perhaps this man just wanted to gain some attention in this way. Joseph cautioned in the Don't Fuck With Me documentary that we have to be mindful. Sometimes we unintentionally embody the violence we set out to oppose. In fact, Alex West, a journalist from The Sun, also reported the incident to the police and was turned down. West wrote an article about the cat abuser videos and publicly investigated the identity of this abuser. In early 2012, he interviewed Luca about this matter in a small hotel in North London, but Luca denied any involvement with the cat abuse videos. Afterwards, the son received a threatening email signed with a fake name, which was later confirmed to be sent by Luca. Through Luca's consistently photo uploads, netizens continued to track his whereabouts. They shelled out their own cash to buy various software and equipment, painstakingly combining the photos for clues. In the spring of 2012, they believed Luca was highly likely to be in Montreal. Despite their best efforts to uncover the perpetrator's identity and assess his danger, they couldn't do anything. Diana described her feelings in a later interview, saying she felt like she was sitting on pins and needles, restless all day, as if she could already foresee the storm coming. Diana said, quoted, "As soon as that crazy ice pack video played for less than 30 seconds, I knew it was Luca." After Lin Jun's case broke, the help of netizens led by Diana and Ryan, the Canadian police investigation progressed rapidly. On the 30th of May, Luca was named as a suspect by the police 1 day after the victim's body was found. They shared his photo and mentioned that he was skilled at disguises and liked to dress in women's clothing. Authorities were worried that Luca might use disguises to approach people and commit crimes again. So the investigation started in Montreal, but quickly expanded nationally and globally. At the request of Canada, the French Interpol issued a wanted notice for Luca in all 194 member countries, starting a worldwide search. At this point, the French police had been closely collaborating with the Canadian authorities for several days, so they all knew that Luca used his passport to buy a ticket to Paris. In the airport CCTV, he was seen wearing a fashionable black wig and a classic black and white Mickey Mouse t-shirt. It was clear that he liked to constantly fix his hair while waiting in line, which seemed to be a habit of his. On the 27th of May at 13:24 local time, he left the airport and hailed a white taxi. French authorities quickly sent a team of over 30 officers to Charles de Gaulle Airport after confirming the situation. They discovered that Luca had a reservation at the upscale Novotel Hotel, but later realized that he didn't check in. Using the alias Kirk Chamel, he booked another small hotel in the outskirts of Paris, but he didn't stay there every day either. Through networking, Luca met and stayed with different men. One of them contacted the police after seeing media reports claiming that Luca had spent a night on his sofa. The man thought Luca was really polite and completely normal, so he couldn't understand how someone like him, Luca, could do the things he was accused of. The police chased Luca's local photo number, phone number to the shop where he boarded and searched every hotel in the area near Paris. Evidence of his presence was discovered at one of those locations. However, they seemed always to be narrowly behind him. On the 3rd of June, Luca took a bus from Paris to Berlin, Germany. By this time, news of Luca's murder and dismemberment in Canada had dominated headlines worldwide for many days. On the morning of the 4th of June at 8 a.m., 42-year-old German man, Kadir, arrived at the internet cafe where he worked and as usual started reading the newspaper. After reading the news about Luca, he wondered how could people with such lack of empathy exist at all. Little did he know, this person would soon appear right before him. It was around 11 a.m. when Luca stood in front of him wearing a dark coat, sunglasses and speaking with a French accent. He politely greeted him, saying something like, "Bonjour, Internet." The Internet cafe had 36 seats, and Kadir, assigned Luca to seat number 25. This seat was by the aisle, facing away from the entrance, allowing Kadir to easily observe him and his activities on the computer from his position near the door. However, Kadir wasn't certain if the person in front of him was the globally wanted criminal because he seemed completely normal. Under the guise of cleaning, Kadir walked between seats, sneakily catching sight of Luca looking at his own wanted information on the Interpol website. That day, 8 policemen happened to be nearby for training. Kadir flagged down their patrol car on the street, whereas some other reports say that he discreetly called the police from outside the shop. Whatever, surveillance footage from the internet cafe showed that at 1:37 p.m., a squad of fully armed police officers marched into a small internet cafe. 5 minutes later, they quietly left and Luca was among them, handcuffed. Luca's arrest process was quick and straightforward. According to the press, the police approached Luca and asked for identification. Luca gave them a fake name, but the police insisted on seeing his ID. Before long, Luca gave up the charade and said, "Okay, you got me." The German authorities urged Canada to expedite Luca's extradition, but no commercial airline was willing to transport him. In the end, Canada had to use a military transport plane to bring him back on the 19th of June. When the military plane landed, both the police and media reporters were waiting at the airport. The judge and 12 jurors, selected from a group of 16,000 people, took 10 weeks to discuss the testimonies in this case. The prosecution charged Luca with the following 5 crimes. The first is the first-degree murder. Second, harassing the Prime Minister and another member of Parliament. Third, mailing obscene and indecent materials. Fourth, desecrating a body. And the fifth, distributing obscene materials. The main argument from the defense was that Luca was not criminally responsible due to suffering from schizophrenia. In simple terms, the main issue wasn't about if he killed Lin Jun, but whether Luca was aware of his actions and knew that he was wrong when he killed Lin Jun. If Luca's defense could prove that he didn't understand what he was doing at the time, he may not be held criminally responsible. There were 6 experts attended the court, with 3 for the defense, 2 for the prosecution, and 1 taking a neutral stance. Among these experts, Dr. Jewel Waltz spent the longest time evaluating Luca, spending 38.5 hours interviewing Luca. His family and past doctors in 2013 compiling a 124-page assessment report. His diagnostic testimony was the most detailed, including schizophrenia, histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality traits, and sexual paraphilias. The other 2 defense witnesses also diagnosed him with schizophrenia. The neutral witness believed that Luca suffered from borderline personality disorder with histrionic features. Finally, the 2 prosecution witnesses also acknowledged Luca's various personality disorders, including borderline, antisocial, histrionic, and narcissistic, but they didn't believe that Luca had schizophrenia. In other words, these 2 prosecution witnesses and 1 neutral witness believed Luca had personality disorders, while 3 defense witnesses believed Luca suffered from schizophrenia. What's the difference between paranoid personality disorders and schizophrenia? Personality disorders are a concept within mental illness but are not equivalent to mental illness. People with personality disorders are suspicious about the motives of others, but they do not hear voices or have visions, hallucinations found like in schizophrenia. As an example, people with histrionic personality disorder like to be the focus of attention. They may act in exaggerated ways to get noticed, using dramatic behavior and emotions similar to a performance on stage. According to media, Luca continued his abnormal behavior even after fleeing to Europe. He uploaded videos the day before his arrest. In one of these clips, he took a drag of his cigarette and arrogantly said, "Hey, friends." And you know what? For someone who was literally on the run to upload videos consistently, he should understand the risks of disclosing his location, right? But he just did it anyway, which is far from what a normal person would do. Back to the symptoms. While personality disorders are not the same as mental illness, they are closely linked to its development. Severe symptoms of personality disorders can increase the risk of developing psychiatric disorders. According to NHS, schizophrenia is a long-term mental health condition. It causes a range of different psychological symptoms. Doctors often describe schizophrenia as a type of psychosis. This means the person may not always be able to distinguish their own thoughts and ideas from reality. In simple terms, a schizophrenic patient might believe they see phenomena that others don't, hear voices others don't, and react accordingly, engaging in behavior that others find incomprehensible. In such cases, patients are unaware that their objective reality differs from that of others. And that's the defense's argument. Luca was sick, but he didn't always take his medicine like he was supposed to do. This made his condition get worse. Therefore, when he committed the crime, he didn't know what he was doing or that his actions were wrong, so he shouldn't be held criminally responsible for murder. However, the prosecution and neutral witnesses believed Luca was fully aware of his actions and his deviation from normal behavior was solely due to his personality disorders. Some press phrased it differently, stating that Luca was just a narcissistic pervert with antisocial tendencies. Anyway, after deliberating for 8 days, the jury reached a verdict on the 23rd of December 2014, finding Luca guilty on all 5 charges. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with no parole for 25 years. Facing Canada's most severe punishment, Luca appealed for a retrial, but voluntarily withdrew in February 2015, expressing a desire to write a letter of apology to the victim's family, which he never did. During the trial, 3 translators helped Lin Jun's father, and the court provided a small meeting room right next to the courtroom for them. It's said Luca tried to create a Wikipedia page under his name, but failed. To this day, the Wikipedia page about his case is still titled after the victim, Murder of Lin Jun. According to his medical history, Luca did suffer from schizophrenia, but the extent to which it affected his perception and behavior is disputed. Law enforcement relied on medical diagnosis to make judgments, but even among experts, there was a split with a 3-by-3 assessment. Dr. Waltz, who spent the longest time evaluating Luca, believes Luca is a typical schizophrenic because of his long history of hallucinations and delusions directly related to his crime. When asked by media reporters if he was worried about being deceived, Dr. Waltz replied, saying that of course, which is, Dr. Waltz's report documented Luca's long list of psychiatric treatment histories over 12 years from various medical institutions. These medical records showed Luca first sought help at 17 and his last visit was at 29, just a month before the crime. On the 17th of April 2012, Luca went to the Jewish General Hospital Psychiatric Department in Montreal, complaining to the doctor that he couldn't sleep, felt restless, and was easily angered. This case profile also documented Luca's symptoms of hallucinations and fears of being followed. In early 2011, he collapsed on Miami Beach and was taken to the hospital by the police, where he spent 48 hours in psychiatric ward. His doctor at the time described him as well-organized, particularly organized, and with normal emotional expression, but couldn't explain how he got from New York to Miami and how long he stayed there. In January 2012, another medical record stated that Luca was afraid a man who had abused him in the past would come back to find him. The doctor described him as anxious, confused, disorganized, and delusional, considering his condition severe. Who is this man that was following him? Luca referred to him as Manuel Lopez, or Manny for short and easier for me to speak it. And this testimony is crucial to the judgment. Luca claims he met Manny in New York in 2010 while engaged in sex work. According to Luca, everything from a series of cat torture videos to killing Lin Jun was done under Manny's semi-threatening, semi-encouraging influence. Luca's description of Manny is vivid and genuine, yet he also appears genuinely fearful. Luca said that night Manny kept calling him from a black SUV parked outside of his apartment building. And Manny told Luca that Lin Jun was a government informant and ordered him to kill Lin Jun and film this whole thing. Luca said he was just doing what he was told. When he left the building at 2:06 a.m., he was planning to give the tape to Manny. And it was actually Manny who uploaded the video online. These who knew about Manny included Luca's mother and his lawyer. Luca's mother told the police that Luca started telling about Manny since 2010. In early 2011, Luca contacted a lawyer practicing in New York and told him that Manny was controlling him. This lawyer described Luca at the time as shy, timid, and fragile. After meeting, Luca sent him an email listing various abuses and injuries inflicted on him by Manny. A week later, this lawyer received a call from Miami Police Department saying Luca, who was in the hospital, was suspected of being drugged, kidnapped, raped, taken to Miami, and then left on the beach. Remember how he was found on the Miami beach in the documentary of the Don't Fuck with the Cats. The lawyer recalled Luca's appearance when he first approached him, hardly believing that Luca, who looked frail, timid, and fragile, could commit a crime like this alone. The lawyer also said something like, it's hard to believe Luca started to create this Manny as a defense that might come in handy 18 months before the crime. It's a meticulously crafted plan, pathological, but extremely clever. Basically, this particular lawyer believed Manny didn't exist, and Luca fabricated him to evade responsibility. It's not just him. Luca's lawyer for 1 to 2 years before the crime who thought so as well. Diana Ryan and many netizens who checked Luca for 18 months are certain that Luca not only had cognitive abilities during cat abuse and murder, but also premeditated them. As I mentioned earlier, Diana is a data analyst, and she often stays at home surfing the internet, very skilled in checking and interpreting information. Luca used many aliases to post and upload photos, and those aliases he used, Diana said, all had origins and meanings, not just randomly picking names. Luca's mother told the police that Luca was very obsessed with movies, and his favorite movie was The Basic Instinct, released in 1992. The female protagonist in the movie is named Catherine Chamel, and one of the men he has sex with is named Manuel, aka Manny Vasquez. Remember Luca's aliases when he booked a hotel in Paris? Kirk Chamel, a male version of the name of the protagonist, Catherine Chamel from The Basic Instinct, the movie. And the male companion of the female protagonist in the movie, Manny, also became Luca's fictional companion name. In this Basic Instinct, the erotic thriller, there's a scene where the female protagonist stabbed her ex-boyfriend 31 times with an ice pick during sex. The scene Luca repeated in his crazy ice pick video mimics this. The victim's hands tied, and inside of a colorful glass window at the head of the bed in the movie is replaced with a Casablanca movie poster in reality. As I mentioned earlier, in the email Luca sent to the Sun in London, there's a line almost copied from the movie dialogue, which goes like this, quoted, "Killing is like smoking, you can't quit," unquoted. The email version reads, "Killing is not the same as smoking. Smoking can actually be quit." After being extradited back to the country, in the interrogation room, Luca requested a cigarette, and when he lit it and took the first puff, he raised his foot. The female protagonist in the movie also made the same request and gesture. Even the music in the video mimics these movie works. The background music in the ice pick actual crime scene is from the movie American Psycho. From all of this, as claimed in the email Luca sent to the Sun, it's like he's shooting a movie. In this movie, Luca is the protagonist, and Manny, who is both a character in The Basic Instinct and a character in the movie he created. Back to this case. After investigation, the police found no evidence of the existence of Manny. For example, there were no incoming call records on Luca's phone on the night of the incident. In July 2013, the police charged bestgore.com's webmaster with corrupting public morals for uploading and spreading that 11-minute video, in which shows how Luca killed Lin Jun. It's a super rare charge. The defendant pleaded guilty and got a 6-month conditional sentence. The website is currently shut down. Even though Luca was locked up in a Canadian prison back in December 2014, his story is far from over. Every day, fans from all over the world still obsess over him, writing him letters expressing their admiration. Some even get into fights just to get a chance to visit him in person, while others send him expensive clothing and gifts. He even occasionally grants interviews to tabloids chatting about his life. Here's a snippet of some of the replies he wrote to his fans. You can tell he's really enjoying his prison life. In 2015, Luca posted an ad on a dating site for inmates and met another lifer, Anthony Jolin. They tied a knot in 2017 with their wedding held in the prison that hosts them, the Port Cartier institution. But they can meet or to be together alone. A friend of Lin Jun expressed frustration to reporters. He said, quoted, "Everyone remembers what the killers look like, but they forgot Lin Jun and the pain his family went through." After the incident, interim leader of the Liberal Party of Canada at the time, Bob Rae, urged people to mourn the victim instead of focusing on the killer's infamy. But oh well, people know more about Luca than the victim, Lin Jun. According to Statista, the average daily cost of keeping an inmate in Canadian federal, provincial, and territorial correctional services in 2021 was about $341 Canadian. This is slightly more than 2 times the average annual salary in Canada. So what's the deal with Canadian prisons anyway? There's this post on a Chinese forum where this guy talks about it. He and his girlfriend lived in Canada and they got into a couple fight. Next thing he knows, she calls the cops and he ends up in jail on domestic violence charges. But get this, inside the jail he feels pretty chill. He says the whole place feels like a retirement home. He reckons it's even better than some hostels in China, in there. They've got a regular schedule, meals served on time, and they can even read with a little lamp before bed. The rooms have bunk beds, kinda like sleeper cars on chains, and each inmate gets a table and a bookshelf. And have you heard about that fancy prison they built for a whopping 91 million Canadian dollars? Each prisoner gets their own room, complete with headphones and other gear so they wouldn't bother each other. Plus, there are fancy amenities in the common areas like top-notch dishwashers, washers, and dryers. And get this, each room even comes with a TV. This prison has a freaking cinema, golf course, tennis court, baseball field, and a freaking campground. I'm starting to wonder if committing a crime in Canada just means you get to check into a luxury resort. But enough sarcasm. I hope inmates get proper education in prison anyway. You don't want any of these serial killers go back to the society and start killing again, like this case I had chatted about. Anyway, this is the end of our case for today. Finally, thanks for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye!